All right, let's talk about the Oregon Ducks. Obviously, Dan Lanning and his staff have done an outstanding job, a redunculously good job in recruiting ever since he arrived up in Eugene, and that has continued this offseason with recruit after recruit, victory after victory this offseason. Oregon looks poised to absolutely dominate the Big Ten for years to come. But the one image, the one challenge that Oregon would have to overcome is Ohio State. Obviously, Michigan, three-time consecutive Big Ten champion, reigning national champion. But the traditional power, at least over the last 15 years, has been Ohio State, undeniably so in the Big Ten. And to that end, the Oregon Ducks and Dan Lanning have just pulled off an incredible recruiting victory, directly beating out a guy who should be going to Ohio State. Let's get into this report, then we can talk about it more in detail on the other side. This is courtesy of SI.com. The Ohio State Buckeyes managed to make the final five teams in contention for 2025 five-star safety Trey McNutt. The Cleveland, Ohio product from Shaker Heights High School is set to announce his commitment on Friday. He will be choosing between Ohio State, Florida, Oregon, USC, and Texas A&M. Despite McNutt's father being a former Ohio State football player, the odds have appeared to be stacked up against the Buckeyes on this one for a while. Ohio State was the only school of the Final Five to not get a recent official visit. Currently, Oregon is the heavy favorite to land McNutt via the recruiting prediction machine on On3's website. The Ducks currently hold a 93.2% chance of adding him to their highly ranked 2025 recruiting class. That's just ridiculous. In addition to the high percentage of the prediction machine, On3 Steve Wiltfong, a great resource, gave Oregon a 70% chance to acquire McNutt while giving Texas A&M the other 30% just the other day. This is not a recruit Oregon should have any business competing with, right? Obviously, Ohio State legacy in Cleveland, Ohio has a lot of those connections there. But despite that, Dan Lanning and company continue to notch win after win after win, and it looks like they're about to pull off another one. Miles, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this. But first, Oregon fans, in the comment section below, look, we're talking safeties, we're talking DBs. Give us your favorite Oregon Ducks defensive back in team history. Kind of an underrated position group historically for Oregon. I think there's a lot of good quality players that don't get enough attention, but we're going to make you pick one. Give us your favorite Oregon defensive back in program history and put them in the comment section below. But Miles, what are your thoughts on this news here?
Yeah, Nick, I think this is going to be huge for Oregon, adding to an already incredible, absolutely phenomenal 2025 recruiting class. It's going to be their second five-star. And there's also another guy set to commit Friday as well, who the Ducks, again, are a heavy favorite, another five-star player, heavy favorite for the Ducks to pick him up as well. But I think this one is the more impressive of the bunch. I think this is so big for Oregon to just come out and really lay the wood to a team like Ohio State when they can, as early and as often as they can. Because Ohio State, like you said, they're perennial powerhouse. They're throwing around the big bucks. They've got all the players. They have pulled out all the stops because they know they've got to do something big this year. After losing to Michigan consistently over the past year, Michigan going on to win the national championship, there's an air of, what is going on with Ryan Day? Does he stay at Ohio State? Is the seat getting a little bit hot? I don't think so. They've been pretty good, but the thing is, they want a national championship. They want to get the best players they can. And I think Oregon coming in here and potentially, I know 93% is no 100, but I think it's pretty certain this guy is going to go ahead and commit to Oregon on Friday. But 93% over Ohio State, who I don't even think they're in contention to get this guy. When you look at the breakdowns of the percentages, Ohio State's not even on the page. So Oregon's done a great job here coming in, courting this guy, getting him to come over to Oregon. And I think they've shown that they are ready to contend. They are ready to be one of the big dogs in the Big Ten and really show everybody that this is a team that can come and compete at the highest level.
And look, it's important. I'm just pulling up the numbers here on this other screen here to confirm it, that there is a massive discrepancy in terms of dollars allocated, especially this offseason, between Ohio State and Oregon. So it's not just that Ohio State literally is losing a legacy in their own backyard to a West Coast team, which is absolutely unheard of, just to give credit to Dan Lanning and his staff. But it's the fact that Ohio State, and like you kind of alluded to, has spent the big bucks this offseason. If you look at the number of dollars, if you're looking at the structure of all NCAA Division I public schools, Ohio State is number one. Oregon, not even in the top 10. There is a massive delta. You have to go way down the list to around number 20 or so till you find Oregon. And that is how Oregon and Dan Lanning making this move here is so ridiculous, right? There is no reason on this planet that Ohio State should lose this kid. Backyard kid from Cleveland, Ohio. Big time program, obviously neighborhood, Ohio State. Dad was a legacy, right? West Coast, there's always a challenge there, an incredible amount of dollars that are available to Ohio State and deliberately being spent this offseason. And despite all of that, Oregon and Dan Lanning get the win, or it seems they're about to, right? We'll have to see what happens over the coming days, but based on the percentages, it's pretty close. And we've seen Oregon do well in recruiting against Ohio State also this offseason with other players. This is what makes this so ridiculous and so incredible. And this is why Dan Lanning and his staff, I feel like they're underappreciated because what they do is absolutely phenomenal. And this is one of the things that nobody saw coming about Oregon transferring to the Big Ten. A lot of people thought it was going to be like when Texas A&M and Missouri went to the SEC. Couple good years, maybe make a little run every now and then, but it'll still be an Alabama, Georgia, LSU kind of conference, right? That's changing in the Big Ten. Oregon's coming into the fold, and they now are threatening Ohio State. They're threatening Michigan to be not just good, but the best in the conference. And that's a big credit to Dan Lanning and his staff. They are going to be a force surprising everyone in the Big Ten for years to come.